the Hub Critic. Just a quick note before we start this video, I must say that all video uses are owned by Fremantle International, which means I give full credit for Fremantle International for the producing of all the scenes and all the video. But I must say that I am using it, and I am giving credit to them, but I say I am using it in fair use. I am meeting the legal requirements because I'm making this as a review purposes. I'm not distributing this episode of Merlin, I'm using it for a review. So all scenes you see in this, in all the nature, are for a review. Thank you. Thanks for the discretion. Enjoy. Season 1, Episode 2, Valiant, Review. At the start of this episode, a new intro, which is quite nice, and a young man gets a shield from the tournament which is possessed by snakes. They are under his command and can paralyze his opponent if pinned. So, he kills the man who gave him the shield, obviously. Arthur seems to be training on Merlin for the tournament. After the diminished Merlin returns home, he doesn't think it's fair, being his manservant. Gwen sets up the armor for Merlin, saying she is a blacksmith's daughter, but thinks it's embarrassing.
No, it's brilliant.
Arthur prepares for the tournament, saying he isn't nervous. The members of the tournament are witness to Uther's speech. Prince Arthur is a champion, and he's the reigning champion, and you know, they all have to see who gets to face him in the final, because obviously he'd probably make it to the finals, but he is the reigning defending champion. We'll see who defeats him. Champion gets 1,000 gold pieces as well. Arthur remains steady in his first fight, winning by elbow. An epic tournament montage ensues as the tournament day 1 continues. Valiant defeats a second with sword. He would like to see Arthur in the reception and talks to him. You know, he's very confident. He's already defeated 2 pretty easily in fights. Gaius catches Merlin using magic to clean the armor of Arthur. Morgana's infatuated by Valiant and wants him to win the tournament because she really doesn't like Arthur that much, but also she's infatuated by Valiant. Merlin spots the snake from Valiant's shield, but is shooed away. Day 2, tournament is ready as Merlin gets all armor ready, and Arthur is acting brash and annoyed. We learn of Valiant using the snake to paralyze opponent while pinned, playing it off as a knife strike in the next fight he wins. Gaius checks the neck of the victim who just got beaten by Valiant, and there is a snake bite. Gaius and Merlin must find the antidote or the man will die, and they have realized it is a snake bite. Merlin spots Valiant feeding the snakes on a shield backstage with a mouse, which, yes, is quite strange, because I don't know why you need to feed these possessed snake creatures that aren't really, I guess they're real, I'm not sure. I guess. Merlin tells Gaius of the magic used by Valiant. He must tell Arthur, but Gaius says that Arthur will never believe him, as the word of a servant is less important than the word of a knight. Also, he has no proof. Day 2 of the tournament ensues, and Arthur fights a brown-clothed man. Anyways, Arthur wins his fight, and Valiant wins. They both win, and they both are going to meet in the final. Arthur versus Valiant.
But we don't have any proof.
Gaius believes Merlin, but he must find the antidote. Merlin stumbles upon Valiant's room, finding a snake after finding it overnight. Gaius uses the snake venom as an antidote on the man who needs it. And then next, Arthur is uncertain on Merlin's word as they talk, but sees the snake head and then believes him with the evidence. The snake from Valiant's room, though, escapes towards the victim and fatally strikes him. This is obviously something sent by Valiant to kill the opponent. Arthur claims that Valiant is cheating, showing Valiant the snake head. But Gaius noticed that the snake has died. Uther is angry and says to Arthur that he has to have proof that, the man was killed by a snake, and, the man can say that, oh yes, there was a snake there, but he has no proof because the man has been killed. and this makes him look like a complete fool. Arthur is again very angry at Merlin, who caused this trouble in the first place, even though he did try to protect him. He did have good intentions for it, but he ends up sacking Merlin and is very angry and says, "You are why I am looking like a fool." Annoyed Merlin travels down to the dungeon, talking to the dragon, saying that whatever the dragon thinks he is, he isn't. He has got the wrong person, and that he does not have this destiny. The dragon says that it is the beginning, and that he has no control over his destiny, and that Merlin and Arthur's destinies are intertwined. He picks up a statue of a dog with a shield and figures out the reason, and how he can prove himself. He brings it to his room. He spends his time using spells on the statue to try turn the dog into a real dog. Morgana awakes in the middle of the night with more nightmares, but about Valiant or Arthur, I'm not quite sure, and sees one of them practicing outside. She's kind of scared about what can happen to Arthur. Morgana comes to Arthur telling him not to fight, but he can't. He is expected to fight even if it means his death.
Arthur?
It is then his duty. Morgana helps Arthur with his armor, looking to actually support him and saying, "You should be careful." I mean, it's kind of like she's trying to go side with Arthur now because she knows the consequences can be very deadly. The main event, it's our main fight, the final of the big tournament. We start off, meanwhile, Merlin continues to do spells on the dog to make it come to life, the inanimate object come to life, and Merlin knows what to do. He runs down to the fight, which is straight down the middle, the fight is straight down the middle, and watches as Merlin hands his helmet off, Arthur gets Valiant's helmet off, but gets sucker punched. Arthur defends himself and returns to his feet. Merlin does a spell of the snake, which made the dog come to life on the snake, and then the snakes actually come to life, proving that, without doubt, he has the advantage, because obviously that Valiant has been using these snakes for his own advantage because they can be possessed at a word's touch. The crowd realise what has happened, and Arthur ends up being surrounded by these snakes. Morgana throws Arthur a sword so he can, chop off the snakes' heads, saving his life. Arthur ends up fighting back and winning the fight, stabbing Valiant in the chest, killing him. Uther and Morgana thank Arthur, but it is... Arthur says he made a mistake to Merlin, but is the savior again. But he says to Merlin, "You are my servant again." Then the episode ends and the credits roll. So, this episode was again a fun ride that was paced perfectly and built up to be excitingly fun, and the final 10 minutes were very exciting, with the champion really up in the air. The Merlin involvement was quite clever, but similar again enough to the last episode. He infiltrated the enemy, discovered their secrets, and in this case used their strength as their weaknesses. The magic he used as the end was clever and unnecessary. But could have was necessary. No, the magic used at the end was clever and necessary, but could have gone seriously wrong. So proves he has courage for trying it. Also, what the hell was with Arthur in this episode? I know he's meant to be all highly and strict and knightly, but this, like his father, but he really was an asshole in this episode. He treated Merlin like dirt most of the time and turned his back on a man who was honestly trying to save his life. Let's hope this relationship turns for the good and gets better sometime soon. Finally, Valiant. I really like the Morgana element, as we already know that she's sort of love-hate with Arthur, so, her supporting Valiant makes sense. The actor who plays Valiant is very believable and really makes us hate him, and, you know, he actually has this great confidence, which was his ultimately his downfall. You know, where he ended up ultimately a lesson as well for Arthur, should he not become this person, but also a lesson for Merlin to not ever use magic like Valiant. At this level of, you know, looking and analysing the episode, is really interesting to deduct into all, or go into all of the details and little parts that made another decent episode. It is iconic, and Merlin learns his first spells, and Arthur defends his honour. I will be seeing you this time in the next episode for episode 3, The Mark of Nimue. So until then, see you all next time. Bye.